Hey, I hope you guys are doing good today. We are going to be watching the honey badger versus the wolverine. I think this one is going to be really good. This is from our favorite casual geographic, and I have been really excited to watch this one. I think this is going to be a really good one. If you do get a chance, I'd appreciate if you can leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a bunch, and I will have Casual Geographic's video linked in my description below. So be sure to go and like his video, subscribe to him. He does an amazing job. All right, so let's see who's gonna reign supreme here between the badger and the wolverine.
An Oreo-flavored bowl cut wearing assault on the food web, a scavenging super soldier steroid weasel, two animals infamous for durability blessed by the almighty, disregard of death as a concept, and being a part-time predatory hemorrhoid, an unstoppable force versus an immovable object.
Oh my god, it has porcupine quills in it. God, I know these little guys are pretty badass. Both of them are, but they're so cute. These are like little danger fur balls. I really like them though.
And being a part-time predatory hemorrhoid, an unstoppable force versus an immovable object, a fight as much philosophical as physical, and today we'll break down how these muscelids match up until in the end, only one is left standing. Now disclaimer, I've actually done this video before, but after some additional research and some number crunching, my answers changed quite a bit, and after mulling
Oh,
it over, I actually feel pretty good about my pick. Another
I wonder what he's gonna choose. I don't know. I feel like I don't know what I would choose. Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Wolverines are pretty stocky, but man, I don't know. Honey badgers are wild though. Honey badgers are crazy. I don't know. Part of me wants to say honey badger, but maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. That's what I'm gonna say.
Other note I wanted to add is there are no definites in nature. What I mean is, if I say animal A would beat animal B in a fight, I don't mean animal A would run the table every time. It's more like if A and B squared up 10 times, I'd expect animal A to hypothetically win at least 6. Any debate
That's
worth
fair.
having wouldn't just be one contender steamrolling the other. That being said, let's meet the misfits. The honey badger's black Air Force energy emanating from an aggressive tube sock. At only about 20 to 30 pounds and a length of 22 to 30
Oh my god, this picture he found, it's dude. This is like peak honey badger right here. Oh my gosh. They seem like they're so silly and goofy, and they seem like they are kind of smart, but at the same time, like totally unhinged and crazy. I love it.
energy emanating from an aggressive tube sock. At only about 20 to 30 pounds and a length of 22 to 30 inches, the glorified ferret is too small, too slow, and too solitary for a conventional way of life. In a world of fight or flight, the honeyhead's defining trait is not having wings, and monochrome crash outs are actually their best defense. But it's not just a bluff. The bane of bees has 1.5-inch claws, mostly for digging and
Oh
breaking into
man.
hives, and jaws powerful enough to crack open a tortoise. They apparently use those jaws to castrate larger animals to bleed them to death. But if we want to be fair here, we do have to mention that the castration claim came from Kruger Park Ranger James Stevenson Hamilton in 1947 and hasn't been documented since. Either way, the real flex is that if cockroaches had breasts, they'd probably be honey badgers.
If cockroaches had breasts, they'd be honey badger. What a line. What a line. I mean, is this like a was that just like a opportunist situation with the honey badger and that's why it went for the, you know, went for the privates there? Because I kind of feel like honey badgers are scrappy, like maybe they don't have a like specific areas where they bite necessarily or attack, but they will, it's like they just go for it all. They just go for the gusto.
Minutes since. Either way, the real flex is that if cockroaches had breasts, they'd probably be honey badgers. They're that hard to kill. They famously have thick 6mm skin that can
Gosh.
tank quills, bites, bee stings, machetes, and most importantly, severe maulings from much larger
Oh my
predators. The
god,
raw
it said he survived this?
bites, bee stings, machetes,
Hold
and most
on, I gotta go
importantly,
back
severe
here. Look at its face though. I feel like his face is like, "Just wait until you put me down." Oh my gosh. That's good that it survived, but god, they are wild.
maulings from much larger predators. The rotel also has freakishly loose skin that
Oh
makes it
man.
nearly impossible to pin down without it turning around and delivering punishment to the face. Additionally, they have a reversible anal pouch with a smell foul enough to gift angry bees the power of discernment, although I
Oh.
don't think it would affect a
Oh my
rampaging
god.
wolverine. All in
Oh my god, yeah. I just honey badgers are just so unhinged, and I just love it. They're so crazy. They have 0 Fs.
Enough to gift angry bees the power of discernment, although I don't think it would affect a rampaging wolverine. All in all, the honey badger punches way above its weight, and it needs to have a chance. The wolverine is a travel-sized bear on bath salts and a different kind of cockroach, living on the very fringes of existence where most others could not.
They're
Wolverines
cute.
weigh about 30 to 45 pounds, and
Okay, so they're, like, kinda comparable, but oh my gosh, this picture's great too. He did such a good job with this. Oh, they're so crazy.
fringes of existence where most others
It's
could
so
not.
cute.
Wolverines weigh about 30 to 45 pounds and measure up at 28 to 42 inches, and they also have the honey badger problem of not having the bulk of a bear, the parkour prowess of a puma, or the power of friendship like wolves. They do
Oh
have
my
jaws
god.
strong enough to crush bone and chew through frozen flesh, and 4-inch semi-retractable claws, mostly for climbing, but also for running non-retractable fades. Like the honey badger, they have thick loose skin, but also a coat to insulate them from the elements. They're also the IRS for animals way above their weight class, as they're on record shifting cougars, wolves, and in some rare cases, even bears from meals. And again, like the honey badger, they also weaponize their anal glands, enough to have the nickname skunk bear. Not something that should matter against a badger.
You know, I will say that if there's one thing that is probably powerful enough to get other animals away, it's when you got those stink glands because that seems like quite the buff to have.
Weaponize their anal glands, enough to have the nickname skunk bear. Not something that should matter against a badger, but the fight would be an odious assault on and of every sense. The
Yeah.
Wolverine's bigger frame means it has confirmed kills against animals up to 20 times its size, and there's even one case of a Wolverine allegedly putting a polar bear in past tense by latching its jaws around the bear's windpipe. But just like with the honey badger,
Oh my god, that's really impressive. Taking down taking down a bear like that. God damn.
putting a polar bear in past tense by latching its jaws around the bear's windpipe. But just like with the honey badger, there isn't really evidence of a rageaholic gym sock suffocating a polar bear with more than just smell, but then again, people won't let facts get in the way of a good story. That's how some animals
True.
end up sounding way worse than they actually are, and how other animals don't get taken nearly seriously enough. Like the most dangerous animal
True.
in Yellowstone isn't a wolverine, a wolf, or even a bear, and a quick look at these articles and you'll see that a fluffy, bearded tank puts way more humans in hospital beds. But actually reading the articles will tell you that it's the people causing problems, and the bison are guilty of only protecting their personal space. That's why
I believe that though. See, I would not what this lady's doing, ma'am, no, I would not be doing this. And this is a huge animal. I would just respect it and take my picture from a safe distance because the last thing you want is that thing pissed off.
But to see who would get unsubscribed from life first, it's imperative to see how they move in the world they live in. Because laying out all the tools they have to work with isn't as important as how they use them in the first place. Starting with the sand-seasoned rage-baiting ratel. Honey badgers have the second widest prey range of any mustelid, and most of what they find is by using their claws to dig them up. A study done in the Khalahadi Transfrontier Park found that most of what they eat are small mammals like mice and gerbils, and small reptiles like geckos and skinks. But honey badgers are also high metabolic maniacs that'll try highly venomous snakes such as puff adders and black mambas, and they'll steal larvae straight from the heart of homicidal beehives. They're so masochist coded that many believe that they're immune to venom when they're only resistant. There are cases
Oh my god, that one got it right in the face. Holy crap. And it was like nothing. It acted like it was just nothing.
They're
Oh
so
my
masochist
god.
coded that many believe that they're immune to venom when they're only resistant. There are cases of honey badgers being excused from the mortal roll call while eating honey because they got stung to death in the process, and getting
Oh gosh.
flatlined by snakes because they kept getting bit but refused to quit. Honey badgers seem to have a severe lack of self-preservation, but it makes sense when you live in a world where running away is physically not an option. But it also means they're crazy enough to try to meal tax a leopard right in front of it. And that's cause the honey badger is a forager on steroids that doesn't pass up opportunities to eat because they virtually can't afford to. Most predators rest and chill after a big kill, but honey badger will stop only for as long as it takes to consume it before running off to find another. This mentality also helps his furry fitted sheet not fold in the face of predators, and constantly fighting back even inches from death means even if it can be killed, it often ends up being more effort than it's worth. In
My god, they're all like, I don't know what I did, but I am sorry. I love this so much watching them.
Inches from death means even if it can be killed, it often ends up being more effort than it's worth. In a
They don't want
desolate
none of that
landscape like the
smoke.
Kalahari, an overachieving weasel scrounges a living in the area code of some of the most impressive and oppressive forces of predatory nature. Wolverines are survivalists on steroids that live in some of the most unlivable places on Earth. While bears hibernate through the dead of winter, the skunk bear is still outside in avalanche country.
Oh,
Those claws work as crampons to let the Hulk weasel cling to the side of a cliff, and having large paws means they can run across the same deep snow other animals would sink in. Those jaws are specifically designed to tear through flesh that's frozen
holy
solid, and a wolvie
crap.
will eat every part of a carcass, right down to the teeth. They even have a molar that's been rotated 90 degrees for the main purpose of cutting through ice solid meat. Also, they are the
That's really impressive that they can cut through frozen skin, meat, whatever, I mean, that's a pretty strong bite, I would say. This is like as, like, crazy as this picture looks, because he looks like he knows he's getting his picture taken. This is a beautiful picture, though. This is pretty cool to see. But, that is impressive. That is very, very impressive. I didn't know that about them.
that's been rotated 90 degrees for the main purpose of cutting through ice solid meat. Also, they are the second most disrespectful creature to inclines, with number 1 going to goats. Wolverines will use mountains like we use crosswalks. It's actually why they're so impossible to keep track of. A motivated Wolverine will easily trek through 40 miles of rough, virtually
Oh,
inaccessible
wow.
terrain in a day, and in Glacier National, there was one case of a Wolverine scaling a 5,000-foot peak in an hour and a half.
In an hour and a half? Oh my god. They're just trucking along like it's nothing. Expect like 40 miles a day, like, that is insane. But 5,000 feet, I don't in an hour and a half, that's that's like, holy moly, they are built different.
And that stubbornness applies to their diet, since wolverines often have to scavenge under the noses of apex predators. But wolverines can kill too, and in a study, 84% of the observed wolverines' diets included reindeer, and 28% of those
Oh,
were actually
wow.
wiped out by wolverines. There might not be a worse predator to have than a wolverine. It's because of how they hunt. Wolverines are the pioneers of one-person persistence hunting, and in one study, a wolverine chased a caribou for a total of just under 40 miles in a hunt exceeding 6 hours.
Jeez.
The animal with glutton for a Latin name will tailgate
That is some dedication, though. That is some dedication, and you must have been hungry, hungry, or really, really hangry, because I cannot imagine doing that. That is crazy. But, when you're hungry, or hangry, I would say in this instance, I guess, you're in it. You are committed, and it is what it is.
miles in a hunt exceeding 6 hours. The animal with glutton for a Latin name will tailgate a mark until they eventually gas out. So whether it's a determined garbage disposal or a flagrantly reckless felony ferret, beating either would be a war of attrition. But the
Yeah.
question still remains, can he fight though? Both these animals rely on intimidation and offensive defense, but how do they fare when that bluff gets called? With honey badgers, those claws probably wouldn't feel good across the face, but the real damage is in that bite. A honey badger's jaws are strong enough to pull the meat out of a carcass after other predators are done with it. They're actually built for conflict because the badger's skull has a transverse mandibular condyle that locks into the jaw socket, creating a tight fit that secures the jaw and makes it incredibly difficult to dislodge or dislocate. That's how a
Oh.
honey badger maintains its dental grip on either prey or predators, no matter how hard they buck. The jaw strength is how honey badgers are documented murking goats and sheep, usually by tearing holes in their underside and disemboweling them. The honey badger
Oh my god, that is something. What a way to go. Oof. I didn't realize that that's how they did that. They are, uh, they are impressive. That is for sure. They are very that is impressive. I would say I don't want any of this smoke, though, for sure. Don't want any of this smoke.
murking goats and sheep, usually by tearing holes in their underside and disemboweling them. The honey badger will also use its nasty bite to factory reset snakes by immobilizing them with a bite to the back of the head. By essentially shanking ops with their teeth and using claws for leverage, the honey badger has scored some impressive wins against raptors like Marshall and tawny eagles, and even the African porcupine, the same one that's a lion's last resort. When honey badgers fight each other, injuries show that they go for the face, neck, and underbelly because they know that everything else is a waste of time. The honey badger is an absolute stonewall, but its size means it's realistically not killing prey bigger than a sheep, not like the wolverine. The wolverine is a walking vice grip capable of crippling prey. They have the same tight seal jaw mechanism that all mustelids do, and they use it by climbing on top of prey and eviscerating the neck and shoulder area. One of their favorite
God,
strats is running up on prey trapped in deep snow and essentially turning their last moments into a rodeo.
that is crazy, and that is impressive that somebody caught this. But that is, I mean, that is insane to see this and that they can take this an animal this size down. That's that. I mean, that is very very impressive too.
Strats is running up on prey trapped in deep snow and essentially turning their last moments into a rodeo. Wolverines have used this to single-handedly take down Dall's sheep, reindeer, mountain goats, elk, and even the
Gosh,
biggest mark in the area. From 1967 to 2001 in Krasnoyarsk, Russia, there were 19 cases of wolverines flatlining moose, and based on the bodies, they favored tearing at the legs, neck, and shoulder.
oh my God, moose are scary. Like they're big and they can like really like f some stuff up, you know. So the fact that they took down a moose, holy crap!
Flatlining moose, and based on the bodies, they favored tearing at the legs, neck, and shoulder. Now to be fair, the wolverines usually went after the young, the sick, or as mentioned, those swallowed by snowdrifts, but it's still a feral ferret the size of a mid-dog, taking the
That's
life of an
true.
animal 20 times its size.
So
Against each
true.
other, they use their hook claws to grapple and try to land their trapped jaws around the face and throat. The wolverine has a higher power rating than a honey badger, but the honey badger has that dog in him, even in a
I love this face so much. I don't know what it is about this face, but it's like cute, angry, and like a try me. I love I don't know. Honey badgers, I think are just so cool looking. Love them. Well, Wolverines have really good faces too. I don't know if it's like the two-tone color that they got going on here that makes them just look like they are just they're just ready to throw down.
dying effort, honey badgers have been known to throw hands at a lion for hours. But there's another aspect we gotta look at, and this might actually be what decides it. How they match up with predators is a big factor, since in this fight they're going up against another predator. And there's no shortage of threats to a honey badger's well-being. Lions, hyenas, leopards, wild dogs, crocodiles, baboons, and pythons are all liable to catch an African agro skunk slipping. As much as their reputation precedes them, honey badger got quite a lot to give a shit about. Even though
Yeah.
they can live for nearly 30 years in captivity, in the
Oh.
wild most won't make it past 7. Honey badgers aren't the indestructible black and white badger berserkers the internet says they are. They're actually very vulnerable to predators. And it seems that the honey badger's two biggest threats are leopards and hyenas. As funny as it is, mature lions typically avoid them, since beefing with a malice-operated weasel when you hunt buffalo for a living is a genuine waste of time. But leopards and hyenas are more curious, and since a foot-tall badger can't outrun a hyena gang or sidestep a leopard, they literally have no other option than to fight to buy itself extra time on Earth. But ultimately, honey badgers have no shot at crippling any predator bigger than a jackal, and it becomes a losing matchup when a predator decides it does have time. It's just that the honey badger's crackhead determination means it can survive situations they have no business walking away from. Wolverine
What is it doing in this one? Little bro, what are you doing? Don't be Gosh. I will say though, I think a good defense mechanism is just being as crazy as possible. And it seems like, if you can make yourself not worth it to eat, I think that that's pretty good. This, I don't know. This one, it's like, I don't know. Maybe that day it just woke up and chose extra violence as opposed to just violence. I don't I don't know.
Badger's crackhead determination means it can survive situations they have no business walking away from. Wolverines don't face the sheer volume, but they still have a familiar feline build, one of the greatest pack hunters of all time, and one of the largest land predators on Earth to deal with. Like the honey badger, the wolverine's durability has been blown up as time's gone on. They're actually really vulnerable against wolves. They'll square up and fight the good fight, but they're as brave as they need to
Mm.
be until there's a tree. In a study on the mortality of wolverines in Sweden, over 40% died to a predator, likely a wolf, or another reen. Of course, we're still talking about a freaking wolverine, and you gotta take a gigaferret capable of offing elk, lynxes, and on the right day, a
Yeah.
moose. Seriously, wolverine
Right? Like, that is true. Are the wolves though? I wonder if that's just like a power and numbers thing and not just like a lone wolf type situation, because then I feel like that would be hard for them to try to combat. Just like the honey badger with the hyenas, I would say that that's like a strength in numbers more so. And, like as much as they can be crazy and unhinged and all over the place, it seems like maybe. maybe they, since they are more curious or maybe more determined than lions. I don't know. Either way, I mean, they're both tough. They are both very, very tough.
A gigafair capable of offing elk, lynxes, and on the right day, a moose. Seriously, wolverines are a legitimate risk to predators that can't afford to tank injuries, and this can lead to them getting bullied out of resources that may not have been worth it. Wolverines are one of the rarest mammals in America, and because they typically live in the inhospitable, we don't really know how these encounters typically go, but we know one thing for sure. Wolves, cougars, black bears, and brown bears can and have killed wolverines, and no wolverine has been recorded murking one of them, unless you
Mm.
believe the polar bear story. So now we have everything to decide.
I want to believe the polar bear story. I want to believe in that because that is a cool story. So I'm gonna say I believe in it.
Who would win, but now we have to decide what winning is. Obviously, there's no question who wins in a fight to the death, but is it still a W if you can force a forfeit first? In nature, a fight to the death is rare because the injury sustained would likely life deprive both sides anyway. As much as
Mm,
the drama of a
that's
drawn out
true.
cinematic duel to the death would sell, getting one side to turn tail is just as valuable a win. So here, a win would mean either straight up destroying the other or successfully intimidating them. Now let's finally set the scene for the fight. It's the middle of an unbearably long dry season when a wolverine and a honey badger run into each other at a fresh deer kill. Neither's eaten in days, and both may not eat for several more, and with these being two prime males, this fade might be fatal. Let's review what we got. The honey badgers are
But what was wait. What was this bird in the back behind the honey badger? What is that? What's that little bird? It looks kind of cool. I am paying attention. I just it just things like that catch my eye.
to each other at a fresh deer kill. Neither's eaten in days, and both may not eat for several more, and with these being two
Okay, so they're both gonna be hangry. I don't know, like, or was this gonna just be like a ring around the rosy intimidation round for a while, or you think they'll just like go for it?
prime males, this fade might be fatal. Let's review what we got. The honey badger is arguably more durable, surviving maulings that would likely kill the wolverine. Plus, a honey badger is liable to fight to the absolute death. But even in a fight going the distance, the biggest question remains: how does the honey badger basically beat a bigger version of itself? The
Mm.
wolverine can survive one of the worst conditions of any predator, and the same jaws that can cripple a moose and allegedly a polar bear should be enough to crush the honey badger's skull. But the honey badger takes a lot to kill, and will be squirming and giving it right back the whole time. For the wolverine, the question is, if bigger predators struggle with it, how does the wolverine expect to be any different? It's not easy, but the winner is the wolverine. The honey
Ah,
badger's lipo looking loose skin and attitude would make this a prolonged fight, but the wolverine's jaws are capable of inflicting enough crush damage on the badger, especially if it lands a blow to the head, which they normally go for. In a fight going
that's fair. That is a fair assessment. Yeah, I mean, I guess like it's not gonna be easy fight. It's not gonna be a short fight, but Wolverine does have that the chomp power to it.
the distance, the wolverine would get beaten up, but the honey badger likely wouldn't be able to get a kill on the wolverine. But the real winner here is the wolverine's lack of risk aversion. Even though the honey badger is more kamikaze coded, wolverines have been known to die trying to steal a kill in front of a bear. So the chances the wolverine backs off are lower than the wolverine offing the badger, or even the honey badger running first. Against a similar sized African civet,
Man, they got some big balls going, trying to get some from a bear. You know, in inherently asking a bear to share its kill. That is that's some big balls there.
wolverine offing the badger, or even the honey badger running first. Against a similar sized African civet, the nasty honey badger is able to pin it, but ultimately the civet's able to walk away. I can't see a honey badger submitting a much bigger wolverine, but like I said, there are no definites in nature, and in a best of 10, I'd expect a wolverine to force a submit or a retreat at least 6 times. It was close, but in a matchup like this, only one can take the W, so it's only fitting that the wolverine already has it. But that's gonna do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother, touch grass, call your father. Let me know what other matchups you want to hear me talk about. And I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
Aw. This video was great. I loved it. I was wrong. I picked Honey Badger. The Wolverine was the winner, but it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, this was going off of stuff that I don't know a whole lot about either one, but this was really interesting, really great, really entertaining to see them. Both really cool. Both are really, really cool. Both are very scary. I would not want to make either one of these angry in any way, shape, or form. But this was great. This was entertaining. Loved it. I mean, as usual. I mean, it's Casual Geographic. He does an amazing job. So I really, really enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you being here. Be sure to go and like and subscribe to Casual Geographic because he does an amazing job with these videos, and I'm excited to see the next matchup. So, but that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys had a great day, and I will see you in the next one.